Well, as the pheasants noisily start to go to roost, I'm stood watching this lovely sunset outside the entrance to Lound Wood at Eakring. I'm hoping to grab an hour's trapping, and I say an hour because the temperature is really starting to plummet. It's colder than I thought it would be. We've had some lovely spring days, some very pleasant warm temperatures, but the night time, because of clear skies and this anticyclonic weather, the temperatures plummet and we get to freezing point almost. There's certainly been a few frosts in the last few nights. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Right, I think it's about time we've got things set up. Generator seems to be working all right, it's settling down now. And while you look at the silhouetted trees of Lound, I'll make a start. It works. The wonders of technology. Right, well, it's 1900 hours. We'll give it an hour, see how the temperature holds up. I need to put the thermometer out and we'll see what comes in. It almost looks like a summer evening from that shot. Not quite warm enough for a summer evening yet, but those days aren't far away. Well, it's fairly typical fare that's coming in at the moment, with the two moths that you can see in the picture there. On the right is water carpet, and on the left is a rather nice satellite. And these two are actually quite good illustration of the difference between Geometridae moths, namely those species resting with the wings like that, well, the majority of them, and noctuids, which rest with the wings like that, often in that sort of characteristic V shape, depending on the species. Both very common moths, especially here. Loundwood always does well for water carpets, and there's two in presently here, but one has flown by as well. Otherwise, in fact, there's another one just coming in now. The other species that are in, there's a couple of engraileds in. So now 3 water carpets on the sheet, but one that has flown. And chestnut, which you would expect chestnut to be one of the commoner species. Certainly, as we've seen before, one of the first species that's always in at the light. It's a nice moth though, isn't it? Water carpet. I was just making a note of the latest attractants. We could really do with a change in the weather, and well, apparently it's coming. The last sort of hurrah of winter. It's not unexpected, after all. We are still in March, and even April you can still get snow and frosts. There's another water carpet flutters in. Let's have a look at that one. Now they're all starting to... Sorry, I have to briefly jump up the gazelle like them, didn't I? The first Diurnia fagella is just flooded in, as they don't do. A couple more brindled pugs in the next week or something like that will be the dominant species, probably. Certainly at Loundwood. It's always good for them at Loundwood. I've chose Loundwood tonight instead of going up to the Sherwood Forest, because Loundwood has a much greater variety of trees than in the Sherwood Forest area. I may well, and probably would almost certainly have caught more moths had I gone to Sherwood. But I was hoping that this evening the temperatures would be a little bit up from what they have been. But there's plenty of moths coming in and knocking about. Hopefully there may be something a bit more interesting. Sherwood's great for moths, don't get me wrong. It's got a great species list, and when we trap there during the summer months, you may well be amazed and quite jealous at the species that it gets and the numbers that it gets. And we're coming out to different sites with different trees, different shrubs, and a different understory. At least Loundwood has got an understory, it's got some good ground flora. Consequently, it gets a really good range of species. There's always the potential for something different. I've just done a video on tawny pinion. That is quite likely to turn up here. And perhaps if I had carried on trapping here all these years, that would have been on the species list for Eakring now. And I need to come back probably tomorrow, just for 5 minutes, and I might add that on to tonight's video, because almost certainly Pamen giganteana lurks, as Pamen often do, in the wood here. I tried a few lures today, chucked them out at Thieves Wood and at Harlow Wood. And at Thieves Wood there were 6 males there within a couple of minutes. At Harlow Wood it was still present. I think the new lures for various species of Pamen which do attract Pamen giganteana are totally going to change the face and knowledge of Pamen giganteana, certainly in Nottinghamshire, probably throughout the UK. If you've not seen the moth, get one of the lures, one of the artificial pheromone lures, find a bit of mixed woodland that contains at least some oak. It probably doesn't even have to be oak woodland. It may well occur where oaks are present as a roadside tree. That's something that I might test if I come out to the Eakring area tomorrow. Pamen giganteana is a species not recorded at Eakring before. Indeed, before a couple of weeks ago, the only place in the county known for it was Sherwood Forest. I'm finding it all over now, everywhere pretty much that I use the lure. It's a potential quick and easy addition to the Eakring moth list. Well, while you have a look at the moths that are veritably piling in, I must admit I'm quite surprised at the number of moths that's coming in. We've got a temperature of 8 centigrade, and over the last 10-15 minutes there's been several new species for the evening that have come in. A couple of March moths, but it seems as though March moths have about finished now, very few compared to last time. Twin spotted quaker, there is a clouded drabbin, Hebrew characters have come in. So it's all pretty much your typical fare. Maybe something more interesting and rare is about to drop in, but I best write these down. or small quakers are outnumbering common quakers. And that I'm highlighting there is the second twin spotted quaker of the evening. Lots of brindled pugs, as you can see there, and we're up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11, 12 species. No micros as yet. It would be nice to see a species like the Cleris cristana, which is an absolutely beautiful little micro, extremely variable, with a number of named and known forms. And it's time for a cup of tea, I think. Well, I just thought to quickly just go through the moths. There's a new species that's just come in, and there's 2 of them. I have one potted up. It's early thorn, which is a beautiful moth. Doesn't settle with its wings open, but for now, well, in a minute, it'll have to be a pot shot. However, the moth you're looking at the moment is an engrailed. It doesn't appear much. They are quite variable, but none of them are ever strikingly marked. It's a moth you've seen probably the last time we trapped, and it's a common moth, quite commonly found while in the larval stage as well. The 2 dominant species tonight though are small quaker and brindled pug, of which there are copious amounts of both species. And here is a brindled pug sat next to water carpet, and that's the water carpet you saw earlier on in the video. Now, brindled pugs are variable in both size and markings, some better marked than others, but it's largely the only pug flying this early in the year, although the first double striped pugs are out and about. They've not turned up yet. There's an oak beauty just come into the side of me, but that's not settled down yet in typical oak beauty fashion. And this moth, it really is a beautiful moth, and this is an early thorn. This lighting and this camera work does not do this species justice at all. They really are beautiful. And there's another species of thorn which flies early in the year, may well be another week before that comes out, and that's purple thorn, and that's another beautiful moth and better marked than early thorn. Now, early thorn and purple thorn both have 2 broods. At the second brood, the individuals are smaller and are differently coloured in general to these. And here's that early thorn just out of the pot now. It has settled, but the view that you're seeing now will be nothing compared to this photo. It really is an absolutely beautiful species. And the wing shape is quite different from many moths as well, with that sort of scalloped rear edge to the wings. It's a species that I've never found during the daytime, and I think that's predominantly because these will hide within leaf litter. And indeed, both early thorn and purple thorn, when seen in leaf litter, are virtually impossible to find. The camouflage is quite superb, as you're seeing from this photo. Well, it's just gone 20 to 9, or 20:40 in posh money, and the moths are still coming in, but I've enjoyed the hour and 3/4 that I've had. In the end, I've ended up with more moths than what I thought I was going to get. The temperature is now down to 8, and very likely to drop further to 7. I dare say there'll be a frost in places this evening, but it's been an enjoyable short session. Nothing unusual or particularly exciting, just your typical spring moths, or your early spring moths. This is what you're going to get if you're trapped in woodland. And to all intents and purposes, you'll get the same sort of species if you trap in your garden, if your garden's not totally within the centre of some large urban conurbation. If you're in the suburbs, all the species that I've mentioned tonight, you have every chance of attracting. Time for home then. I won't bore you with the packing up shot. I lied. So that's it for another night.